Good evening, everybody, and thanks again for joining us here at Cat Eyes. Tonight we have the research team. They're going to go over some stuff that they've accumulated in the last couple of weeks, some new discoveries, some real gems here. So yeah, you guys know the crew. It's FPV. We have One Conscience, James, and Cat Eyes. FPV, the floor is yours, brother.
Hello, everyone, before you start.
Cheers, Rotter. Hello, Cats. Hello, everyone. Hello, panel members. Hello, fine peoples in chat. You're probably wondering about the title, Shock and Awe. What we're going to present today, we think will shock and awe you. It should shock you into realizing what it is we live upon and leave you in awe of its creation, because that's what we're revealing here today, the creator's work. To add more to the research theme, the map we're using, it's the one done by Ceres, which you can see the Mercator maps being derived from. And other information that we're using for gathering is done by iRonFE, Ron. So a big shout out again for Ron. He's plotting data and gathering information for us in the background. Right, what I'm going to do here is present to you the Nazca Lines. I'm going to give you a little guided tour around them to see why they're so important. Now, if you look at the whale in red in the top right, then at the north, you'll see north, and on the left, you will see solar clock. Now, I've used them to realign the world map based on what we're looking at here, these geoglyphs. So the whale would be northeast Russia, say. The solar clock would be Alaska, and you've got obviously got the north in the center at the top. So I'll play through this and give you a little tour. You should see some current comparisons here. I'll overlay the world map we're using, done by Ceres, and you can see how it blends in here, how it kind of fits. Of course, times have changed since these were carved into rock, so a few changes there over time. But other than that, it's pretty much intact and showing the world map. That's what you can see looking at those shapes. Just just the pins in the ground. It's starting to give you the shape of the world map. And these geoglyph locations I've been placing on the map, they're actually location markers of very important items in the underworld. You can see here the whale up above northeast Russia used as a reference. So there's actually two references to whales up there, but I just used the beluga whale. And this one in Alaska. Now, you can see in Alaska there, he's a busy little fellow, this guy. Hold on to that thought as well, very, very important. He's a busy little guy. We'll get to that later on. You can see the two locations I've marked out here to open the world map up into a flat map. But there it is again, the basic shape, and we're going to give you a little tour around what I've been placing on the Nazca lines in Google Earth. What you should be seeing is structure, connections, lots of very interesting information, especially when I'll go into more detail of that later on, but just a little tour of this to show you what I've been looking at and piecing together on the Nazca lines. That's going roughly on the map over towards northeast Russia, say. You see the whale there. On the Nazca lines, it portrays the whale as flattened by something flat, but you can see there it's not flattened, it's actually behind something. We'll get to that a bit later on. But just take a good look around. These lines, according to mainstream, were used for ceremonial processes, say walking down a line to get married, all this kind of ridiculous theories. So that they're hiding this information. This is very important information from Nazca lines. There's geoglyphs. You look at geoglyphs in 3D. You put them in the 3D environment, you will see that the picture is really displaying. This is a little tour. You can see all the lines. I mean, I haven't finished yet, nowhere near finishing. I know these have been done by other people before, but they weren't showing what I'm trying to show you. You can see there the hummingbird, beautiful. I also notice its beak's actually attached to a structure. The structures are very important in this. So it's a location marker and the structure, what the hummingbird there was actually attached to. Now the hummingbird, it's a message, it sends a signal, it means transmissions. Now, if you look at these, you can see antenna designs here. Most people out there that know any amateur radio or antenna designs would see straight away there's antennas in these images. Like there, the parrot, it's a 2-element Yagi beam, and obviously a repeater because it's a parrot. It's been made so easy to decode this, I can't believe it. We're taking a little tour up north there. That's the Geoglyphs up in the north, which I would say probably references the northern portals reference in scripture. Would be possibly that location there looking at our map. Again, there's another antenna design. You're going to see lots of the various antennas in this. Lots of signaling going on. There's another. You can see the connections being made. And that the direction the signal would be going, basically. So easy. Again, you see the coils, antennas, structure. That's what I need you to see. I need you to see the structure and these antenna designs and the connections going on. And you can see, look at it, I mean, the area is vast. A lot of these have been covered, built over, farmed upon, you name it. They've been lost, they've been buried, built upon, you name it. It's a shame, really, what's going on down in Nasca. In fact, recently, you've probably seen a headline where a truck driver was driving around over them. He's since been arrested. They called it the United Nations Nazca Lines or World Heritage Site, but it's not United Nations, it is World Heritage, not United Nations Heritage. So just to correct people on that, it's not owned by the United Nations. But I'm pretty sure they're probably behind trying to hide it. There's the spider there. I located the spider off the coast of the USA. You'll see more into that later. You can see it there, the spider. It's actually got its foot inside a part of another geoglyph, which is part of something larger. There's the condor. Fantastic detail, these. Really amazing detail. There's so much detail, it's going to take me a long time filling it in, but I enjoy this. It's amazing watching it come together. There's the monkey. Again, so although Google overlaid this monkey, you'll notice they haven't attached the antenna. It's actually got its hands looping through an antenna, which again, it's capable, it's telling you it's a piece of technology capable of receiving signals and activating something. That's why it's got a piece where the tail, below its tail, you see, notice an extra piece going into the ground. That's to say, that's basically a location marker. But structure should be jumping out at you in 3D. You can see there various parts of structure under the geoglyphs. I'm not sure what they all mean yet, but I definitely know they're all about signaling. Like that bird there, that would be sending a signal to its left. Like I said, you can do all this yourself in Google Earth. If you've got Google Earth, go to the Nazca lines and start tracing them. You know, it's built into Google Earth. You can plot lines across it, save them any color you wish, move along. I recommend doing it. It's amazing what you start revealing. So if you haven't got Google Earth yet, grab it and go and practice this. Not just at Nasca, these lines aren't unique to just Nasca, they're all over the world. But Nasca is very detailed 3D blueprints of the underworld, the structure below our world, unknown world. This is what this information is revealing. You'll see more what I mean in a few moments. I'll pause it when the images come up. Right, that one there. You see that? If you look at this geoglyph, you'll notice it's 3-tiered. It's actually a 3D. If I've caught it at the right angle, there's your vertical support. There's the horizontal one, and you notice the ramp going up to the second level. And there's another ramp there. You can go underneath to a third level. It's just like a 3-story car park. This is just part of what you're seeing here. I hope you can see that as I'm seeing it. Vertical structure, slope going up to the second story, and then another to the third. Now imagine all these when they were built in this fine detail, a whole 3D blueprint of the underworld. Because it's not the human world; it's what's below. This is structure in the underworld, and all linked to the workings of our world. Hope you can see that. 3 stories there. You've got to look at them at the right angle, and they will jump out at you in 3D. Here's that antenna again. You can see there. Look, it's been designed to be read in 3D. with fantastic detail. This one here, see the whale? Now on the original geoglyph, like I said, it looks like it's flattened, or it's got a line across it like it had been flattened. If you look at it in 3D, you'll see basically what looks like, say, a window frame there, and the whale's on the other side of it. It hasn't been squashed, it's just on the other side. It's because you weren't seeing the image in 3D. Now it's in 3D, you can see it's just a whale on the other side of it. And of course here we've got structure again, holding things, support structure. That there's the main road. I think it's the Pan American Highway, which is a shame because it cuts right across a lot of this, possibly intentionally as well. They are being defaced intentionally. And this area here, look at this area. It's almost like a game of mousetrap. Look at the detail going on. Signals can come in, things can be switched, things can be activated. It's as simple as that to read. It's been made so simple to read, it's unbelievable. I'll keep it playing, more to see. The activators, switches. Now, this one blew my mind last night. I don't know, I never noticed it before. Look at the guy in green. Look at this, guys. I can't believe this. He's plugged in. He's switched on. He's got his finger on the button on this console. And he's looking to his right, waiting for the signal. How unreal is that? I just noticed this last night. We'll zoom in a little bit. You see again, more detail. Where it's the bottom of the feet is like hooks. Where the arm is like a wrench, a spanner. It's actually got the spanner-shaped arm there. And the middle finger is going to this button on this console. I hope you can see this. And as you can see from all these connections, it's down below ground, different layers. And again, structure, supports. But that is unbelievable. I never expected to see what looks like some kind of a robot plugged into something, pressing a button on a console. That's. I hope you can see that. That's what's reading to me. That blew my mind last night when I revealed that. A little closer. See the hook at the bottom?
Yeah, I see that.
Finger touching the button on the panel. The wrench for an arm. The eye look. I mean, I haven't finished the head. There's another part there to the head. It might not look like this when I finish, but it kind of blew me away just getting this far when I seen and realised what it was. It's kind of like this geoglyph's about half a mile long. It's it's just an amazing thing to find. This place just keeps giving you surprise after surprise. Unbelievable. So it's electro-mechanical robot of some sort. Yeah, anyway, remember what I said now. Keep that thought, the solar clock. Now remember, I said he's a busy fellow. Right, well, very important. What I did there, this is a human trait. What I did there, I give this piece of technology a sex and character. I said it was a he, and they said it was a busy little fellow. So very important you realize that. Technology is by humans is being given sex and character. Take, for instance, your car. Some people call the car a she or a he. So your motorcycle, your motorbike, it's a guy. It's a human trait, guys. Very important that you understand and realize that as we go through this. We've been given technology, sex, and character. Remember that. This, it's not unique to modern times either. This technology is a lot older than modern times. Now you can see here the geoglyphs, the locations. There's the whale, northeast Russia, say, solar clock, Alaska, and various other things going on. I know I've got some of these to relocate now. I know where they go. This would be our 0.0, the star, which is up here now. We'll get more to that later. Yeah, well, I'll leave it playing a sec because look, take a note to this plate in Greenland. Very important plate. I'm going to show you a bit more about this. I'll zoom in on it, and then this is that plate here, which goes through Greenland. So I'm just looking at it, and then zooming out. And now I'm going to pass you over to JImbo because he's got some very important information regarding that plate. So Over to you, Jim.
Okie dokie, am I muted? Let me unmute if I am. Okay, I'm not muted. Okay. Well, here's a long story short, I guess. Back in 2011, I was going over Google Earth and just looking for weird stuff, and I saw what I thought was like a bulldozer blade in Greenland, just out on the ice somewhere. But as it turns out, after I measured it, it was like 45 miles long, headed north-south, and 12 miles was exposed that went under the ice. It means there was more of that plate under the ice. Well, come to find out, and I'll show you a picture on a share screen here in a second. And I want to share an application. Okay. So this is the picture I pulled off in 2011, the so-called bar out in Greenland, okay? And this was just what I thought was a bulldozer blade. But when I measured it, this north-south line, which is sort of sideways, the red line, about 45 miles. And then down to the snow, or where it goes under the ice, that's about 12 miles. It would cover most of the island of Montreal, what you see exposed here. But the full size of that plate is probably somewhere more in the neighborhood, north to south, of 1,450 miles, and it descends on a slope or an angle into the ground for another 250 miles or more. And it's one single piece of steel. There are no welds, no solder points, no connected plates, no bolting plates. It's one piece of steel. Now, this piece of steel is not the only one. And what it is, let me share another screen. I guess I have to stop this one. Yes, and then start another one. So I'll start and show you how these plates, again, in the Inca lines, those big rectangles you see, and the big wedges, well, they're basically more of these iron plates laid out in different places across the Earth to act as a control system for the sun, deflection plates. So let's get to Google Earth and take a look at that particular aspect. Okay, stop sharing, I guess. Stop.
There was nothing showing then, Jim, but carry on.
Okay, did I do something bad? Yeah. Let me see.
That's okay.
I can't find my Google Earth in this. I don't know why. It's not showing up in the programs. But let me see if I can restart my Google Earth. Well, I'll just go right to my cam and show you on the wall, and then if I get that set up quick and easy later. Now, I have a pretty big map on the wall with some basically just green masking tape. Hangouts can't understand the selected camera without... camera, please.
Technical problems, guys. Don't worry.
Sorry.
It will be resolved.
Yeah, but that's an amazing find.
Okay, well, I really need to get the camera. I'll shut this off here and see if, I might have to F5 the Hangout and just come right back.
All right.
Let me F5.
Yeah, Jim's going to show you on camera a wall map with some demonstrations.
Okay, so I guess I do have to share for this, right? Application window. Oh, not for the camera, right?
I'll show you, Jim. Hold on.
Okay, that'll be easier.
There you go. You're presenting to everyone now.
Okay. Now, for a lot of people, this probably just looks like a bunch of like green on, you know, things on, laid out on a flat world map. But what this layout represents is actually these metal plates that are placed all over this plane, and they are placed there, these ones in this blueprint, the Nazca lines that, you know, have been decoded, Those bars represent these locations on Earth. And these are huge bars. These are huge electromechanical installations. It's like a big cathode ray tube, or operates exactly the same way an oscilloscope would. The sun is a ray, or a bunch of, well, they call them electrons, a stream, and it is forced into this, magnetically charged areas between these plates. At the east, it's prepared, it's given a kick or a push, a sweep trigger, it's called, gives it to it, starts pushing the sun across from east to west to the west side of the plane. Once it gets to the west side of the plane, another switch, a trigger called a flyback killer, terminates the sun for that day, or at least make sure that its energy is not seen in the split second that it flies back to the east and gets another push to sweep across the plane again. What this design really means is that our sun is not spinning or hurling through space. We are not revolving and spinning on an axis around it, following it through space. The sun is generated locally by this system, and it follows electromagnetic waves that come up from the ground and guide it. In fact, what we're starting to think is these circular disc shape that pushes the sun, it's formed like a cone, and the sun is on top of this cone, and this cone moves across these plates with the light that is our sun on top of it. And that's where I am. Again, all these green lines, the thicker ones, the bar shapes, they're involved with deflection of the sun through the seasons. See, I can get up and point out a bit to you. I'll point it with the light because my headphones won't reach. But up in the north corner there, it's too bright. Up in the north corner, those wedgie-shaped things with those boxes beside them actually magnetize and help deflect the sun. This bar here, north of Russia also. See, this bar is one of the winter season sun guides. There's another bar just off to the west, and it's huge. It's actually the same size as Greenland, but because of the skewing of the maps and trying to hide stuff for generations now, it looks cockeyed. This bar here over at Nasca is the same size as the bar over Greenland. But on the world map, the globe, these two bars, the two tips of these bars are pulled towards each other, like it's showing you that it's like 8:30 or 7:30 in the evening, where they actually run parallel to each other.
Can you pan your camera left a little, Jim? We're missing the left part of the map.
Okay, left. That way left, that way left.
That way, that's it, yeah. A bit more. Yeah, that's it. Perfect.
Okay.
Right there.
So we have phenomena we see. Again, if you notice, there's a bar that comes off, this long bar that's off the east coast of the Atlantic. Now notice it comes from basically the northern Quebec border straight down and across is Florida. Now there are these huge plates that run underneath from, mid-Atlantic to, between South Carolina, Florida, North Carolina, the Chesapeake, straight back west, all the way to Los Angeles, California, and down to the Baja, and straight back to, well, Easter Island, of all places. Down here, when they're having their summer south of the equator, these plates that run through and underneath the continental, South America, to these two plates that are on the front wall, or the west coast of South America. These are two huge plates that have been placed there to work in unison with these plates to guide the sun. This one too runs off to, I think this one's to Easter Island, and this northern one goes to the Hawaiian Island chains. So the deflectors up here help to deflect the sun over these plates for our winter. I figure these two plates here are in the transition of, seasons. And then these plates are the ones responsible for helping the south have their full summer before the cycle switches back the other way. But up here, even beyond where, we can see the symbol is part of, again, the sun's deflection plate, probably for the northern winter. Again, we have that phenomena in Canada where we see the northern lights. Well, there are plates that intersect that run on the western side of Hudson's Bay, and also traverse the north of Hudson's Bay all the way to the foot of the Rockies there, nearly to Alaska, where I'm pointing. So this might be a curtain, the conductor for those curtains of lights that rain down as the aurora borealis. These two intersections, well, we call this section right here, just off Florida and the Bahamas, the Devil's Triangle. Well, a lot of things happen with magnetic bars that big and metal objects close to them. So again, that's about, my input was actually for this group in this study was having that photo of the bar help to identify the symbols on the Aztec maps that was being decoded by FPV as these huge metal bars. And when, after a lot of kind of like brainstorming and mental blockage and other stuff, I looked at the configuration and realized it's like an oscilloscope or cathode ray tube. And again, our sun is created every day in the east, sent across the plane, and terminated when it comes to the west end. Either terminated or the light is suppressed for a split second and it flies back. It ain't turned off, we just can't see it. So that's like just suppressed. Sometimes things take too long to charge up, so you just leave them on all the time and find a way to suppress the signal during the flyback. Basically what happens. So from me, so I should just maybe bow out graciously and let one get involved with some important information that relates to all this. So I guess we're good for passing the torch at this point. Sound fair? Hello?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, all good, Jim. Yeah.
So all yours, one.
All right. Thank you. And hello, everyone. And Katz, thanks for having me on again.
You're welcome.
All right. So, FPV, if you'll put the first picture up for me, please. Okay. So what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks is studying more details of the earthquakes and the earthquake pressure. So, what does science say the earthquakes are? Science says that when rock underground suddenly breaks along the faults, this causes a sudden release of the energy and it causes the seismic wave that shakes the ground. When two blocks of rock or two plates stick a little, and then when the rock breaks, the earthquake occurs. So that's science's definition for earthquakes. So that does make sense to a point until you begin to study what we're studying. So my explanation is a bit different. So that does make sense to a point until you begin to study what
Jim,
we're studying.
can you mute, please?
So my explanation is different. So that does make sense to a point until
Jim, can you mute your mic, please? Jim, can you mute, please?
Okay, sorry about that.
Bit of echo.
Okay, so my explanation is a bit different. What the plates actually are pretty much real plates, like JImbo is showing you, and FPV. And they are the mechanics, the technology that carry this energy that the FPV was showing you. So when these signals are sending, that's what these earthquakes are. They are the shaking of the earth as the energy transfers into different areas. Excuse me. So they activate daily in the designated areas, such as the sun moving into an area, the way FPV and JImbo were showing you. The pressure actually seems to stay a bit north and south of these sun paths. So this is telling me it's holding it in the designated path for the time of the year it is by creating the path with the energies from the north and south. So can you go to the next one, please, FPV? Okay, so that'll work. So this picture is a picture of today. It was yesterday and today. So the yellow dots are the earthquakes, and the orange line is the path that our sun took yesterday into today. So if you see what I'm talking about, how there's a line of quakes north and there are quakes south. Now, please remember that I don't get a lot of data from the south. But if we look at the terrain and how uneven it is and how many lifted up areas, we have to definitely assume that these areas get lots and lots of earthquakes, because that's how land masses are raised, is this pressure rolling through and pushing up from the underside. Okay. So that's what I was trying to show you by when I was explaining about the north and south are kind of sending the energies to the center, which is creating this path for our sun to travel. What this also explains to me is antipodes. Because the pressure is popping up in our hit spots. Would you go to the next one, please? So the quakes are popping up in our hit spots as the sun enters to illuminate the area as it leaves the area. And so that's our back and forth motion. So what that means is that these quakes are popping off as the sun enters a certain area, as well as when it leaves the area as far as illumination. Mind you, this also happens for the moon. So if the sun is coming in from the east, which it does, as it crosses over the Indonesia area, as it enters that area, we get quakes. And then again, as it goes into dusk, it also gets quakes. So it's the energy transferring through the earth and entering and leaving these different areas. These happen each day. I have actually tracked this for quite a while, everyone knows. A good example of this occurrence is, and I may pronounce it wrong, so I apologize, it's Oaxaca, Mexico. So for the last week or so, I've been kind of watching every quake as it rolls through, and that particular place has been getting little swarms of quakes at the same time every day. At the exact same time that was happening, a place in Chis, France was also getting quakes at the same time that was. So that's an antipodal thing. One is in Mexico and one is up in Europe. And what that tells me is that the one in Mexico was quaking as the sun entered over there. At the same time, the one in England and France was quaking as it seemed to move out of that area as dusk came on. One more interesting thing that kind of adds into this is that today a small shift occurred, and the quakes that were happening in Chis, France actually moved northeast into Chalice, France, and it's allowing the sun to bring its path back north as we get closer and closer to our northern summer. So the energies are going to move up a little bit, and they're going to move back down, down, down as the north gets its summer and then the south gets its summer. So pretty much like I was saying, all this is showing is the energy moving through the plates. It runs like a machine, and the different quakes, the one I'm showing today is pretty much just the sun path quakes. So you'd have to imagine that different plates and different signals are going to cause different occurrences on Earth. And that's about all I have, really. So I'll let FPV take back over.
Okay, thanks, Juan. Fantastic information there. While this image is on screen, guys, I'll just point out this also explains the 24-hour sun in the north. You see the loop it's taking? Well, the path. That is what would create our 24-hour sun in the north. Obviously, we don't see it this time of year because it's a few thousand miles even further away and a bit possibly even switched off, but that seems to be the loop. So while that's on screen, you can see there how on this map you would get the 24-hour sun using this halo system. Now we'll get more into the halos and such now. I'll just stop that and represent.
No, that's really interesting stuff. But I just wanted to ask you guys. You ever notice we have 24-hour sun in the Arctic, but we never have a 24-hour moon, do we?
No, it seems to change quite regularly. The moon. We haven't done a lot with the moon at the moment. This seems to be the geoglyphs, and the setup seems to be based mainly on the sun that we're seeing. You know, unless it reveals itself more in more geoglyphs as we keep going through them.
But what I'm saying is, it seems like the moon it's functioning a little differently, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just being switched on and off. It's
still some stuff like that to look at, but I think it's the same operation. It's using the same mechanisms to operate. Right, I'll carry on with this, guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right, so you notice we relocated the. Why is that stopped? Pause there. Yeah, relocated the portals, which is these things in the corners here. These are the portals referenced in scripture. We've relocated them to north, south, east, west. Originally, we had them over in the northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, but now it makes more sense than where they're being at now, especially with the data one showing you there about how the sun is interacting with the center of this map. You can see here this star type thing in the center. These are connections underground going to Angel technology, which is controlling the motions of the sun across the face of our world, basically. These interact with it, and it gets handed from one to another and moved around to create the path that one showed you. And over the course of the year, it'll switch up and down over 6 positions. That's our current way of looking at it at the moment, and that kind of ties in with Enoch's description of how the portals work. It's switching up and down 6 positions over the course of a year, giving you your northern summer and your southern summer. It's as simple as that, and then it moves back up again. It's just moving up and down all year long. You'll notice down off New Zealand there, the portals. People in New Zealand, a few thousand miles east of you, is some very interesting locations that you can see there. This is where they would be located. Now, the Bering Strait, that's been mentioned before. You can see now why it's so secretive and hidden and all that, because when you open the map up to a true flat map, Alaska and Northeast Russia are on opposite sides of the world. They're taking the flights in the north to give you the globe A style projection. So that's a little bit of information about the flights. Again, Ceres map. We're going to show you how we relocated the meridian, because we did have it just off the coast of Africa, but if you look on this mimic map, I managed to capture 0.0 signal, which helped us relocate the meridian right to there, which now, you know, it lines up perfectly on the equator and everything. It was anyway, but yeah, it was more west than we thought. Now this animation, I'll just pause it. Right, this what I'm showing you here is how the portals would work without any of the halo systems being activated. It's just basically shooting across the sky from one side to the other. This is how it would work. Now, with the portal system activated, you'll see a totally different story, because this is what's called trapping. It's electromagnetic trapping and manipulation and handling of our sun. It traps it, it manipulates it, and it moves it around these halos across the face of our world. Don't worry, we do have visuals on this video proof. And you can see now how it would slow it down and start making it go to where it needs to be. It can take any path on here, it's all preset and pre-programmed. That's just to show you how it slows it down, and it can manipulate it to a path where it wants it to be, and then it'll, as JImbo says, it'll get to the side, the sweep killer will take care of it, or it'll recycle it depending what time of the year it's on. This doesn't seem to be happening in the south for some reason. Other information on the screen. This screen is going to overwhelm you. This is CERN's setup in Europe. This is also its setup, and I've overlaid the centre of our grid here to show you how these 8 segments match the 8 segments on here. So there's your divine 9, your 8 around the centre and the 1 in the centre, 8 around here and 1 in the centre, your divine 9. That seems to be in control of all these, what we would call like slave systems. These ones on the outside that aren't connected to the line, they can still receive transmissions and activate as and when needed. And that this is related to the earthquake data we've been tracking and showing you. It's these switching on and off, creating a magnetic field, and this is what the sun's traversing across. As you can see in this animation here, it would go around the edge of this halo and then it would be passed to another. This bottom left image, this is CERN setup. Notice the halo with 8 nodal points, which is exactly what we've been seeing in the sky already. So in other words, CERN is a reverse engineered angel. Angel being technology we've been giving sex and character to for a very long time. I hope that makes some sense. So that's what's happening there. It's electromagnetic trapping and manipulation. And you can see Shiva there. Shiva is an angel, and there's its halo. It's as simple as that, guys. Everything's been skewed and twisted around into another kind of story. What you're going to see here is 100 years worth of eclipses. Just to show you that you can see the sun and moon's paths going across here. Mainly the sun's, solar eclipses, so it's showing you the sun's paths. And you can see them straight lines now being manipulated around the centerpiece. It should give you a better description, a better visual presentation of what's really happening. Here's 1,000 years worth of eclipses. 1,000 years, guys, in the blink of an eye. But you can see how it's been manipulated. That straight signal is being manipulated around the face of our world by this technology. And these things are everywhere. There's thousands and thousands of them. But looking at the Book of Enoch, he will literally say there's thousands and thousands. You'll find it in there. And they have to be. There's not just these primary 9 at the centre. There's plenty others that have to manage to pass it over. And our current thinking is now the electromagnetic plates, what we call the tectonic plates. The theory now from us is when these come live, when the sun gets onto one of these tectonic plates, it activates a whole network of angel technology and the halos in the sky to pass the sun across. Now the sun, we think, could be something below ground in the physical halo below ground. Remember, the one in the sky is a projection from technology below. So there's a physical halo below ground with nodal points, and it's very possible the sun's going around this and we're seeing something in the sky being projected there from below. Either that or the sun is something in the sky and it's being passed along these magnetic pyramid-shaped magnetic fields. You've seen them in the images before from Ceres. Here's some real footage of these said halos. These aren't CERNs, these are existing ones. You can see there people going out recording them. You'll see the sun's always going around the edge of it, and it's magnetically trapped and traversed to where it needs to be and handed over to another. And we think the tectonics, when it comes online, when the sun connects to a plate, say the Nasca plate, the whole plate becomes alive, it energizes the air around it, which creates daylight, and we think the sun is a secondary light. That's our current thinking. These two images came from P900 Sandra, she's probably in the chat there. You can see there on the left of the image, part of a nodal point captured. They show more when there's barium in the atmosphere. When you see barium, you see the whole halo and nodal points. But here, it's some kind of chemtrails illuminated this nodal point to the left of the sun in this image. And from Michelle in the States, you can see one there on the right. You'll see these everywhere, guys. Keep your eyes out for them. Very special, very unique. We estimate the size to be about 6 miles in diameter of each halo. And like I said, there's thousands and thousands of them. There has to be to move it, to move this across the sky. We're talking lots and lots of technology down below ground. And as you can see from the Nazca lines, it's a very detailed, structured environment. What they describe as hell. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be hot down there. There's a lot of work going on. But yeah, it's not what we thought it was. And there's definitely an underworld, 100%, because the Nazca lines are portraying it. So that's where I was up to with this research, guys. Any questions on that, people, or you want me to go over anything else, or anything to add from you guys?
Well, I was gonna ask James if you wanted to talk a little bit more about his 2011 find of the Greenland bar. If you just wanted to tell us a little bit more about that discovery and how you didn't think it was anything significant then, and well, here you are today. So you want to just take us back to that point there?
I was just going to say, yeah, I think you should tell them how you felt, Jim, and how it's changed since.
If you're still there, James. I think he's still on mute from before, you guys. Hold up.
Okay, I think I'm good.
All right.
How did I get here? I don't really know, but it's been long and arduous, and I can say that the circumstance that led to all this information coming together, and hard to disprove metal plates that are 1,500 miles possibly long and sticking out of a country and a continent like a sore thumb, and seeing their behavior and stuff, See, this plate goes down on an angle and there's heat under it, and what heat has to rise comes up along the edge of the plate, follows it to the surface, and it's hot enough to melt rock and create that volcanic activity. I first saw that when I was a kid, and I was fascinated by the lava, but that oddity of big metal bar above it was kind of weird, but it never really entered my mind that whatever. Later, I snatch a photo off the internet in 2011 and then wind up here talking about, and what it is one of the biggest secrets that's out there, things that these Freemasons and these Jesuits and all these people know. They know how structured and how symmetrical this world is. They know, all these creators of fiction and the brainwashing, that we're on a very square plane, and in all likelihood, I suspect, like others, there is more land south of south at the so-called, Antarctic. There's more north of north, where we call the so-called, where we twisted Russia around and, made it follow a hula hoop. You got to get that hula hoop, things moving in circles out of your mind. That's just a way to keep you dizzy and spinning. Even the stars, if we know now the sun and the moon are following these paths and stuff, and they're going in straight lines, the fact that we see stars moving in a circle doesn't mean that they're moving in a circle. Just like the sun looks like it's going round and round, and it's not. Then maybe the stars aren't going in a circle, they're going straight too. So maybe it's not worth arguing about, the northern dark horse and its rotation one way, and the northern, dipper and stuff. It's irrelevant. The more of this stuff is figured out, for me, it's like a big pinball machine. It's just magnets deflecting, and a beautiful cone with the sun on top of it down these plates from east to west, and a whole bunch of, not hell below us, but equipment, sophistication, structure, engineering beyond our wildest dreams. Not no hell. I mean, but anyway, you know, like I say, we're in an engineered environment. This world that we're in was created. And how did I get here? I guess maybe, you know, with all the circumstance and, I don't know, but it didn't happen by, you know, my hand or anyone else that's here. It'd be too long to organize and think up and plan out over decades. You can't. It's someone else's work, you know. That's what I think brought me here. It was destined, and you know, I'm just a simple person, and so is everyone else here on the panel. We're not nothing special. But I got the door, so I just gotta bow out and let someone else talk for a minute. Be back.
Yeah, okay, Jim. I'll just present
Right.
this, guys. There's a bit more to it than you think as well, people. What you're seeing here is what Ceres took from Google and managed to convert into a real map. So that's the map we've been showing you there, but there's more to this. This is what's north of this map. Now, the information's all we can't, you know, Ceres can't decode the information that's been hidden from us. But you can see there, this is what's in the north. And of course, Antarctica. And not to mention these strange things here at the bottom. So this is the complete maps taken by Ceres from Google Earth and decrypted back into square images, and this is what it produced. So you can see there, it's a lot larger than you think. You know, the world doesn't end here. There's definitely more things in the north, and I'm seeing the same on the Nazca Lines. Above this area, on the Nazca Lines, I'm finding parts here for things. And of course in the south as well, I'm finding parts that would relate to South Antarctica. There's no, you know, there's nothing to say this also doesn't go east and west.
And this is
think,
the map that he removed the algorithm to come up with the square map.
Yeah. What Ceres did was he took the round images out of. He took the round images from Google Earth, which converts everything to a ball, and squared them back off using an algorithm, and this is what was produced out of Google itself. So the data was in there, and it was just hidden with algorithms. And Ceres done this and generated this world map. And you can see the Mercator map basically is copied off this map. This is where it comes from by the look of it. It's derived from this map, although it's kind of compressed in the north to give that globe sloping appearance, I guess. Plus they hide a lot. They do hide a lot of data in the north as well. So yeah, we know there's more land and such north of our known realm. South has got more land than everywhere else, and it's very elevated. And like I said, there's nothing to say. There isn't things east and west of these areas that we're not even aware of. We know roughly where the portal regions are that control the luminaries, and I mean all luminaries that are controlled. They're not.
Yeah, it might be worth noting too, another possible word for portals, because some people might be uncomfortable with it, but technically they're called gates, you know?
Yeah, portal gate. Portal translates as a gate, just a gate, yeah. Electrical. In electrical terms, yeah, put it down as a gate. That would make more sense.
It's less metaphysical. It doesn't draw people down that path. This is physical hardware out there and physical operations, you know, properties of electricity, etc. You know, it's hardware, not metaphysical.
Oh, you can see how hard it was for Enoch to try and describe what he was looking at. You know, he couldn't comprehend what he was looking at. Clearly, he was given the tour. He was shown everything. He'd done his best to describe it and get his message across. And when you start reading the Book of Enoch, or you know, various types of scripture, the older the better, I find, because it's been less tampered with or changed.
Well, I have a site that can give everyone a little taste of what Enoch saw, although it's, you know, slightly skewed because of, you know, the algorithms and stuff. It's still a beautiful view from above, and it reveals the plates around the, you know, Bermuda Triangle, all this stuff. It might be nice to just give that visual that anyone can go anytime and see these fires and weather patterns over them and stuff. How about that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let me, try
any research definitely include a technological aspect to it in what we've been describing here, and it should help your research.
Absolutely, and this will be a real good visual Oops, I'm not showing the link, am I? I hate this thing. I really. How do I? Yeah, share. Where's the button go? Where did the hangout go? Work. Sorry about that, folks. Give me 1 second. There's the hangout. Try to share that one, I guess. Here. And whoops, we get this one away. Sorry if I did a no-no. Is my screen sort of up and sharing?
Yeah, I see it, Jim.
Okay, so this is the weather map from Earth Null School, where they removed that circular one that, was so complained about, because anyway, I don't miss it now seeing this, but in any case, this shows kind of our weather out over the Atlantic. And like I say, there's a bar that runs from basically the foot of Iceland here, where you see this little swirl going, all the way down literally to across from Florida. And then more plates that join across the Americas, right to out here by the Hawaiian Islands, where you see again, definite lines where these weather patterns are forming. They represent bars, these huge metal plates. Where else can we see some in action? Again, you have a good one. Where we go? Okay. Again, there are plates that run straight under Africa here, coming up towards, or here, sorry. You can see this triangular shape. That's part of a wedge that goes straight under the South Africa, Johannesburg, and butts out here. But, it's masked, it's distorted with their algorithms, but these lines that we see and swirls that we couldn't understand are almost the eddy points where two plates join, like down at the Bermuda Triangle, right, where that 90-degree plates meet. There's different effects when you have, in electrical things, a contact point, you have like a barrier, a junction, and a barrier, there's always some resistance, and that resistance has to be transferred into different energy forms, whether it's light energy, sound energy, heat energy. There's any number of things, a junction barrier, and probably multiple things that come out of these junction barriers, and different magnetic patterns and stuff, and vortices. Now, if you can imagine a boat full of iron or other products that's a couple of football fields long, say 600 yards or whatever, 300 yards. Well, it's moving over a plate and sometimes shallow water that might be magnetized that is 200 miles wide and 1,500 miles long. And a magnet powerful enough to shoot up a magnetic field, probably 60,000 feet or more into the air above it. I mean, it's, that thing is well known, and they call it a devil's triangle. And they've been letting people go out there and, get hurt basically, and they know what's there. These shipping companies, these moguls, they know these layouts, they know what's there. But they don't care. They'll take the chance and, ship a container worth $50 million or more of goods, and they just want to get there on a certain date. They don't care if there's danger. They get paid anyway. You get insurance if you lose a load or something. You can't lose. Anyway, these things are well known, and there are things that happen that are much more predictable than they claim. I contend that volcanology, those guys are full of soot. The dark stuff comes out of a poorly burning fire. They're full of soot. And so are geologists, and so are all of those so-called sciences, because they're all aimed at skewing and distorting and promoting this, so-called science, which is just a tool being used to babbleize everything and keep people confused and believing idiots like Bill Nye, may I name a few, and Neil deGrasse Tyson and other propagandists, and just purveyors of all of this nonsense, and simple people, sometimes they're really good people, believe them over whatever might be the real truth. I don't know where that came from.
But the fact is, of course, that the Earth is a circular dish surrounded by a barrier of ice.
I don't know where that came from. Let me get it up.
Andrea Barnes have been attempting
See, I'm being attacked here. The other computer just turned on by itself, sort of. Let me try to shut it off there. No. Okay. But anyway, these plates have been well known. The fact that volcanoes are probably, and I'm pretty sure, switches turning off and on, controlling the sun, and other sensors telling others to control the weather, you know, or do any number of functions that are needed to keep our environment livable, including all the weather adjustments we need. So if this plate layout and we have an actually created sun that's local, then there's no ISS, there's no red car in space now, there's never an astronaut that spoke a true word, and on it goes. So, you know, I keep saying, NASA, I want my money back, and I think all of us are entitled to some. So even if NASA goes bye-byes, our governments are responsible for giving us restitution for some of that money. That's all there is to it. They can disappear, it don't matter. It's just, the government will stay real and, you know, have a different influence over it, hopefully pretty soon. And better reality will exist for a whole lot of people. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. It's a construction.
No, I agree. Going back to your junction barriers, James, would this be like the same thing as what One Conscious was talking about as far as being PowerPoints?
Yeah, well, you know, there's so many
to
ways to have switches trip and activate, pressure switches. You know, if you have a pressure switch, it can be beside something. If it heats up, it expands, puts pressure on the switch, which engages, you know, a fan to cool it off or another action. See, one thing that's hard for people and might be a bit hard to wrap your head around, this is a system based on synchronization and not on time. Time is non sequitur. If I had to set all this before I put it in operation, you don't calculate no time, nowhere. You set conditions, condition variables and stuff, and then you set it in operation. It has nothing to do with time. And this synchronization can self-adjust depending on the variables that are input during periods of its cycles, or, you know, it has built in, it normally, like, okay, we'd say, oh yeah, our sun works on time. That's not actually the truth, and we have to adjust for seasonal or yearly differences. We all see it, leap years, all this nonsense. It's allowing for that, you know, it's sort of like again, there has to be tolerances. A system cannot do what it does and not have flexibility. Again, it has every kind of sensor you can imagine to know what's going on for us, and the ability to change it at its will, or even at God's will, because I'm sure God is still very much in control of all this. But not to go preachy or nothing, but I mean, this is a structured environment that we live in, a huge, huge constructed world, and we're just so blessed to be here. We don't deserve to be lied to and, you know, hidden from the truth. This stuff was scratched in the sand. When I was 5 years old, my dad should have been able to tell me about it, and his dad should have been able to tell him, and your parents should have been able to tell you. We should have been able to understand the, you know, stories of the Thunderbirds and the giants and the Nephilim and all this stuff. Even, you know, why hide the Book of Enoch from us? Remove it from study. Huh? What are you trying to hide? They're just trying to edit the narrative, create a truth where there was some truth, but, you know, edit it to control.
Well, they have done that, and, you know, in all religions, you know, any monotheistic religion, it has the same attributes. Each god has the same attributes as the other, so they're all based off the same principle, you know.
Yeah.
That animation JImbo showing there, guys, you can also see where technology in use. You can see where the halos are, and this is what's creating the winds. Scripture doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. It is responsible for generating winds, tornadoes and such.
And where you see, I think the plates on, it's darker gray, where they're, you know, highlighting the magnetic, look how straight this line is here, and how straight this uptake is, or whatever. These are just like magnets. You're seeing, like, we put powdered iron on, you know, a bunch of magnets here and there, and move them around. It's basically what you're seeing, you know. Just, they change the magnets under the plates to adjust, and that's what we're seeing. It's all magnetism from below, controlled by technology. It ain't hell. It's a real place with dimension, with switches, with, you know.
So this truly is an electric universe, isn't it?
No, it's, well, yes and no. It's runoff of wave energy, definitely. I don't say electricity.
Wave energy,
no,
okay.
There's no electricity on flat Earth. Like I say, I've described that to people before. Everything's
Yes, you have
insulated.
gone over it before, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the transformers, primary and secondary windings, are totally insulated from the iron core that separates them. And only, well, magnetic induction in Henry's moves or creates a tension, just kind of like a rocking effect. And the whole thing is a rocker effect. You know, that's how, anytime electricity flows, it creates magnetic waves. So basically you flow a coil, electricity through a coil, you're going to get a magnet produced or a magnetic effect produced about it. Metal helps to amplify it, basically. Like picking up tons of scrap metal at a yard with one of those electromagnets. You know, that extra
Yeah,
metal
I think you called it, I mean,
amplifies
correct me if I'm wrong, I think you called it flux wave or something like that?
Yeah, flux, gauze, or, you know, it's just the kind of wave compression between these waves that are being forced and pushed around in a very specific direction. Like they come out of the north end and they return back to the drain, south, wherever the south may be. It's directional. And they, like I say, I believe, you know, people don't say it that way, but the magnets, the hard magnets we have, the permanent magnets, they're oriented domains of iron. They're crystals that are pointed north and south, all aligned in rows and columns, if you will. And they are able to rectify anything, any signal that hits them, no matter what wavelength, no matter what frequency. The microwave, I don't care. If you sing through it, it'll change those waves. It'll clip them in half. And some of that energy, well, it's sort of not energy, or it'll be lost as heat. And the rest, it has to go somewhere. It has to, it's an imbalance.
Yeah.
In
I know I mentioned this
electricity,
earlier, and
like,
I know I mentioned it earlier, but I always wondered, why don't we have an Arctic moon? You know what I mean? Why the moon is not visible for 24 hours in the northern part of
well,
our plane, or the northern part of the square.
it's likely it's created by the same kind of mechanisms that and magnetic fields that, because it is called the lesser light. So I imagine that there's a series of switches and a limitation to where it can go depending on the magnetic configuration at the season, where, you know, normally you'd expect it, say, to go higher. It just doesn't, because it's not there for those plates. It does disappear 3 days a month, eh? So I don't know. I'm really not even able to wrap my head around most of this. It just, honestly, for me, it got so mind-boggling that your brain almost goes numb and you go into a sort of paralysis almost. It's so mammoth in scale. Think of it, a huge plate like that, the size of the continent almost, 250 miles by 1,450 miles by at least 40, 50 feet thick, moved as a single piece, and that's not the only one. And they were placed and engineered. No freaking Big Bang did that. You gotta have holes in your head to think that anything but a creator could manufacture a piece of steel that big and make this place over more infrastructure below and above. No, you gotta have holes in your head. Now we know. I know. I always knew there was a creator, but you know, the, sort of, you know, all that ignorance and all that. I've got, you know, a few atonements to make.
Yeah.
Another story, another chat.
No, but well, yeah, when you think of the
Maybe the older chat.
the like the God that made this, or the creator of this realm, of this construct, I mean, that piece is enormous, man. Like seriously, he's like must be like the titan of all titans to create this puny little world that we're in. We're just like this little experiment, if you will. You know what I mean?
Oh
Seems like,
yeah, oh yeah.
you know?
Because you know what? This piece was cut from bigger pieces, a bigger piece. It's hard to comprehend. But even that piece, it might have been 4 times as big and who knows how long, and then cut into sections to do the job. Though the bar in Iceland is like, here, I can show you. Let me cam up again for just a split second. Just have to stop sharing and cam up. And I can show it right there probably. Here. Okay, where's the cam button? Hello, cam button. Hello. Okay, wrong window.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat.
To get back to, I hate these windows. There's too many. Oh, I think I showed the URL or something accidentally, so I hope people are on guard.
Yeah. Yeah, and if anybody in chat have any questions, Cats or FPV can read them off.
There was one there, or someone mentioning Antarctica. Why isn't it included? Like one conscience mentioned, we don't have a lot of data from the south.
See,
but part of it is included. And hold on, Jim, before you present, I'll just present this to show them how. Can you see that, guys? That map?
Let me show this.
You can see the magnetic data there going down into South Antarctica. That's kind of at the end of where this 12 by 12 grid terminates. That would be the southern portal, say, that region. That's what that was, the reference to that. Right, back to you, Jim.
Okay, so am I still presenting? Yeah, there's my camera, I guess. Okay, I'll put that back up there. Okay, down here, I was trying to get away and just take a day off of everything, because let me find the chat so I can at least see what's going on. If everything's okay. God, I hate these windows. There you go. Okay, so you see this little playset for learning electronics and stuff? Well, the bar in Iceland, let me try to dig this out. The bar in Iceland really represents something like this, an electric jumper. But this one's got plastic coating and stuff. But this would basically fit, you know, across, where is it there? Up there, Iceland, Greenland there. I'm too close, but if it's basically like making your electrical connections with just a huge toy set. Everything's uniform. If you know you have a pressure switch and it engages or whatever, I mean if something's too hot, a fan will kick on or whatever. As soon as you know conditions are right, the light, well, it'll go off. And then things will be shut off through relays. Not relays for some of these switches. Millions of pounds, billions of tons. Just the nature of dealing with that much electricity. I know in the biggest electrical installation I worked on, the wire was triple aught, 10 pounds per foot. You know, the circuit breakers were as big as my leg. Basically, they're explosives, you know, well-designed explosive to cut the electricity. But, you know, down there, and it's like a complex, it's like a substations and all these big modern stuff that we have and big buildings, but it's bigger. But it's all modular stuff, and plates we see on top here, we see one on Iceland, we see another one down off the Atlantic. They're just huge plates, 1,450 miles long about, that have been cut and placed in exact positions like you see on that wall. Some even tailored to be a specific size, like plates that do the bouncing or reflecting, you know, towards the east there, that go into Vanuatu and to you know, northern Russia and just, you know, sort of north and south of the equator. But those are fashioned plates. They're manufactured to do exactly that job, and they were put there to work to help to guide the sun over this plane, over this section, this whatever grid and land masses and all that. But it's constructed like with a huge Lego set that, you know, this would be like God's Lego set, but his
Yeah,
Lego set would be, you can't imagine. I can't imagine. But anyway, that's where we are. We're in a world created by, I guess, what you call a God so great, we can't even wrap our heads around what's there. Can't. I can't. Like I say, this stuff, when you really start thinking of it, your brain will go numb. It's okay though, because, you know, we should have all known this young, and it's in the teachings everywhere. But all these liars that got in our way because they're just greedy people, and they, you know, learned how to manipulate and dominate and all this stuff. You know, they had their run, you know, it was fun, but all empires do come to an end, and like I say, there's probably a better empire to build awaiting there. But nonetheless, I mean, it's a very simple world. There's no, you know, voodoo in the sun. It's not a burning ball of gas, billions or million miles away, 93 million miles away. It never was. The only thing that got it that far away from us is liars. The only thing that turned this plane into a ball are the same liars. So, you know, for all these people yapping at the mouth and laughing at people who believe A in creation, B, you know, laughing at flat earthers and stuff, well, like they say, flat earthers know something. Now everyone knows something.
Question from someone in chat called More Swole there, Jimbo. I'll answer it first and then I'll pass it to you for your answer. But the question is, what does the panelist think if I said the moon is a carbon-based diamond cubic photon pulse organizer, which cubes the crystal grid forms and waveforms?
A little too esoteric.
Let me reply first. The sun, moon, possibly all luminaries are in what would be termed in modern terms, possibly in the physical form down below ground in what we would call a particle accelerator, the physical halo below ground, which is the modern copy of the Angel technology. All our luminaries might not be in the sky. There might be projections from within these particle accelerators below ground, and we're seeing the electromagnetic projection in the sky. Of course, you'll see that with these halos when barium, etc., is in the atmosphere. Over to you, Jim, for your reply.
Yeah, you know, the moon for me is a construction that manifestation from these technologies. It's starting to really show where it begins and ends at plates and stuff. You know, very predictable. You know, sequences. You know, intervals. So it's part of the machine. I don't think it's a floating rock crystal that helps to crystally manifest everything else or nothing like that. It's a lot more simple, a lot more, really, in a way, nuts and bolts and magnetism and electricity. That's a lot of it, but I mean, it's not all. It's just open to, you know, maybe a bit of a more coherent conversation about our world and, you know, design what might be around and, you know, even maybe, I don't know what it might change, but anyway, we know these plates are there. We know more or less the shape. We know a lot of things now. Like,
Are these plates responsible for what you've said before? You didn't talk about it tonight, but you've said about atomic absorption. Are they part of this
yes,
whole...
they certainly could be, and there's no question. Like I say, the blue we see as the light emitted as sunlight in the day is not from the sun. The light is in situ. It's made where you see it. So that blue comes from where you see it. It's waves that hit probably the hydrogen that's free in the air from evaporation in the water there, or, you know, even other, just the average, because the sky color can vary slightly, the blue, but it's wave energy exciting, you know, an electron to a higher valence level, and then in a split second, it loses that force that forced it to that higher level, pushing on it. And when it drops back down to its normal state, light is emitted, blue light from hydrogen. So, no, it's not the sun that actually lights up our world. And one thing we did kind of notice about the sun is, again, if you really think of it, the crepuscular rays, they don't go all the way up. They only come down to the ground for a certain width of your vision. If they were, you know, rays from a sun far, far away, they would radiate out in all directions, but they don't. They're actually, you're not seeing, in a sense, the light and shadow, you're seeing exposure of the magnetic waves and the cone that the sun is riding on. And if you think of it, you know, it's to the edges of those plates or somewhere, you know,
how far do you think the sun is, James?
Well, probably less than 10 miles, 20 miles. I don't know. You know, it's if I knew the energies going into the plates, and, you know, which is, I'll probably never know. Anyone will probably never know. Well, maybe some do, because again, it's something that can be calculated. I mean, you know, and we sort of see it in those magnetic data that Ceres did, you know, that there's like a bridge, and it's possible that the sun rides somewhere on the crest of that. There's so many things, you know, it's just still so speculative and so unknown. It'd take like Ken Taylor to start looking at some of this or something.
Yeah,
you know?
I got you. Yeah.
I know how basic systems work, you know, because, you know, I've done a lot of repair and stuff. So,
Question
you know,
in chat there, guys. I'll just present this and talk through it a sec. Right, it says, remind me again who the creator was. Well, the creator, we don't know who the creator is, whoever you would call God or the creator. Is this presenting? Can you see that? Yeah. Yeah. Right, I'll take you back to the Nazca Lines again. This is the Nazca mandala and the Sunstar of Peru overlaid on Ceres' world map. And this is what completes the grid. The background grid is the 12 by 12. It contains 6 squares, 6 concentric circles, and 6 rhombi. The centerpiece in white is the 8 by 8 grid that contains the heart of the machine and the technologies it's connected to, and the portal system, which is, you know, all this is basically below ground apart from wherever the portals come out into our realm. We do think there's more realms outside of ours. Looking at Ceres' map, there has to be. You know, we would expect to see more outside of this, more land. Especially when you look at Antarctica, that's very elevated landmass compared to the rest of the world. And I attribute that to the congregation of the network of grids there, the grid below ground and the halo systems above ground. And I think they do have a pull factor on land, which helps create landmass. When you get earthquakes, the land gets raised. It's pulling up on the landmass. A good example, one used last week, I think it was, in New Zealand, an earthquake, and about 6 foot of ground was increased in New Zealand. So yeah, it's definitely responsible for land mass. It does send signals to volcanoes, and there's communications going on that we've been monitoring on the mimic maps. If you're not familiar with this, I do recommend watching some of our older videos. You know, where we relate the mimic map signal into this technology going on, and can kind of pinpoint it using the geoglyphs where it's coming from and going to. This realm, we believe this is the complete grid for our realm. If the lands outside of ours are separate realms, then they probably run on similar type grids. This one grid here is designed for this realm only. It's a life support system for this realm, basically. Is how I would call it. It helps life flourish by design.
Yeah, I think he said one time, Brahma, was it Brahma that was the creator?
Yeah, well, you look at different cultures, religions, whatever, they've all got a different name for all these deities, angels, gods, whatever you would like to call them. Brahma, the creator, would be the one at the center. It's controlling all the others, or sending signals. You know, it's the power source, it's the heart of the machine. whatever Brahma
Right,
is,
that's what it was.
it's the
Right.
centerpiece of the, yeah, it seems to be 3 different types: the creator, the maintainer, and the destroyer, going by scripture. And these would be these 8 around the center of the 8x8 grid, plus the one in the center being Brahma, the creator, running them all. Very powerful. Lots of energy, free energy everywhere, guys. I mean,
Oh yeah.
if you still got your images, one of the power stations, could you put that up on screen to show them? I'll show you how power stations link into the ley lines and to the grid.
Yeah, let
Yeah,
me
good.
send it to
Cool.
you. Is that okay if I send it to the chat here?
Yeah, hold on. I've probably still got it. Hold on a sec. I'll just load it up.
Here, I have it right. Or you have it?
Yeah, the sun trajectory and the moon trajectory are they're on their own path, it seems. Well, they're definitely on their own path. You can see that. And the moon seems to just alternate like every night, it seems. It's in different places as you see it. We've gone through that before, but anyhow, yeah, go for it, one. I was just looking at some notes that we had here before.
I was waiting for the picture to go up.
There you go. It's on screen for you now, one.
Okay. Sorry, what did you want me to talk about? The power stations?
Yeah, you can see the huddle of them there.
Yeah. So, I mean, they know this. They know that this is where these energy spots are. They've built power stations around all of these different plates and energy lines where we get our frequent earthquakes, which is where the energy is coming out of the earth in these spots as it travels. So they're harvesting it. I mean, you can see it around CERN, which is a huge energy power plant, particle, whatever they do there. And when you zoom in, it stems from the center, and it has little arms that are coming out of it. I mean, you can see each little arm of nothing but straight lines of power plants. And I actually went and looked these up on a map and pinpointed each and every one of them the best I could. And, it's going to stem out, it's going to wrap around, and it seems like it's going to kind of make a big circular type Fibonacci spiral type. I may not have them all mapped, or even close, but there's so many that it would take me years to get them all on there. They are just tapping in, taking the energy and selling it back to us. They've stolen all the land. They've called the energy all of theirs, even though it was put here by the creator for us to be able to live here in this world. And that's the thing that we need to open up to people, and the idea that this is all free. We could do this. We could do this ourselves. We don't need their energy and power lines. That's a comfort. That's a comfort that they use to keep us enslaved. And now I'm going to stop ranting. Sorry.
Rod's welcome. Yeah, so you can see there, guys, the flower of life, the Fibonacci sequence is the signature of the angels. This is how we know their signature. This is where it's generated from, this rotating toroidal energetic field coming from this technology. It's if you look at tornadoes, dust devils, this is them starting up. You can actually monitor them starting up if you know where to look, and you'll see the little dust devils developing into tornadoes if it gets faster. This is how it works. They are responsible for. We've got an origin now for lightning, the halo in the sky. That's where the lightning's originating from. Add some water like rain, you're going to get arcing. That's where it's coming from. The halos, earthquakes, volcanoes. They're capable of all these things. It gives a lot of answers for things that's going on around our world. Real life data. This is what we're finding, and we are connecting it to the Earthquake data. Well, I've got this image on screen. Hold on. There's another one that one wanted to show. This one here. I'll pass you back to that TU1 so you can go through that one there.
Oh, all that was just backing up the data that JImbo was showing and the different circular spots, because I went on and I went to one of the weather sites and just copied the weather patterns, and it shows how it swirls around. It doesn't go around a globe, and it doesn't go around in a straight circle. It follows its path. It takes little loops, and some of the cold mixes with the hot, you know, and this is how it works. I mean, this is how it works. And he was showing the real time, and you could see it really good, how it comes up, you know, to the northeast and wraps back up and around and comes back down. Anyway, that's all I was trying to show with that picture.
Yeah, that one in
Yeah.
there.
I was gonna say something. Okay, so okay, everybody here knows the Earth's circumference, right? Does that change with this information? Do those numbers change? Knowing this, the circumference is one measurement, but does this change that whole dynamic, or does it remain the same? Anybody?
The circumference of the globe. Well, that would be,
yes.
Basically, they're getting that figure from one side of one halo to one side of the other, really, on this electromagnetic projection. So, that's probably their measurement of one side of halo to another, really. We do.
What's 24,000? 24.9. So, so that tells us.
Looking at our grid, that would be 3,100 miles per square on the grid. If that's if that's true figures, that would make the grid about 3,100 miles per square.
Well, that's why I asked that question. I was wondering, does that change? I guess that's something that needs to be looked into.
They're basically measuring the technological projections of the realm. It's not actually the landmass and figures are coming from, I find. It's where the technology ends. Well, that's the circumference or the distance across the 8x8 grid. But in the background there's a 12x12 grid, so it's wider than this element already. And we can see from Ceres' map there's more land in the south and north. And
with the 15x15 grid, right?
Yeah, we haven't got any imagery from east or west of what we've seen on Ceres' map. But I mean, you can see a lot in the north and south that we didn't know existed, though. That's a bonus already.
So that number doesn't hold water, does it? I'm sorry, I just got off a little subject, but I was just talking about
some more animations up to show. When do you guys take over a minute? I've got some more stuff to show you.
What's good in the chat, everybody? Again, thanks for being here. You guys have any more questions? Oh, FPV. I got a question. I got another question for you.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So what about the anomalies in Antarctica? With some of the crazy things that were going on down there a few years back, and then they removed some of the camera work. They CGI'd stuff. They overlaid stuff. They were blocking some imagery of some strange activity. Perhaps there's a portal there we were talking about, but how does that fit into this now?
It looks to me like these modern Angel copies they call CERNs that they're creating. Mm-hmm. We've got 24-hour sun in the north. They haven't got it in the south. They're faking it. can show you a video if you want of 24-hour sun in the Antarctic, and that is definitely fake. I'll load that up if you want.
Yeah, sure. I thought you were going to show us something else. Were you looking for something else?
It was, yeah.
You're still searching? No, keep searching for what you're looking for. Let's get one conscience back in here. She's drifting, you guys. Let's get one back in here. One.
What? What?
Let's pull you back over here.
What's up?
Yeah, no, I was just, we were talking about your PowerPoints and stuff, and the correlation with James's stuff, and yeah, I could see there's definitely a connection with energy that's flowing through there. So that's
what I think is
that's a good connection,
Yeah, what I think it is when he's showing the plates, those are where the signals are going to hit. But what my quakes are is the actual energy, the signal flowing through the earth to get to the next spot, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because what I'm showing is the actual energy, and what he's showing is the creation, the plates, what has been put into the earth and what is catching these signals and sending them wherever they are designated and designed to go next. So it is a great correlation because, he, again, just like me and FP, he's doing his own work and I'm doing mine, and they are just fitting together so beautifully that we can all see exactly what's going on.
Definitely. Yeah, there's this, it's synchronized.
Yeah. Basically.
And it's, like you said, you guys are working independently, and then you guys get together, and then there's this correlation, and it's good stuff. And we applaud you for that. Thanks for that. Did you find that?
And
FPV, you still searching for it?
There's another thing that helps to confirm the accuracy, and no one has to second guess. She knows the difference between a natural earthquake that has nothing to do with these timers and these switches, because there are, things and materials that get hollowed out and collapse, and they will cause earthquakes. The ones from these switches have a signature, a sound wave that is always identical for each individual switch, and they come from the same place. So in a random science that they call earthquakes, well, I mean, how can these earthquakes, which are random, have so many exact signatures from an exact spot? It's because it's some type of machine or device, and that's its cycle when it gets engaged.
Yep, that's exactly right. And what it is some of these places that get hit are man-made. They're made from the fracking of our surface. They're made from dams and all that water that's just sitting on those areas and seeping down into the cracks of the earth. That causes earthquakes as well. But the ones that are, say, deeper, I'm kind of thinking that's a switch point. Those deeper ones is when it hits one of those to send the signal to a different area. And these more shallow.
I'll put the animations on for you now. Hold on.
And I think sort of too that deep below there are pressure sensors. If too much stuff builds up, like over a volcano, like St. Helens or Shasta or whatever, they trip a switch, and it's just a question of time till they blow or, erupt.
Well, I think that has to do with the amount of energy that the crystals and the quartz crystals and the different limestones and stuff hold as it just kind of catches it. Well, crystals absorb. So they're holding all this extra little energy, and you're right, when it starts to build up too much, that's when it's going to explode. Because what causes crystals? Well, it's hot volcanic flow flowing through water or glaciers is what causes these crystal formations. So yes, and they're absorbing this energy. I mean, everybody that's ever studied crystals knows that a crystal will absorb all sorts of different energies. Witches hold them in their pockets daily for absorbing negativity around them.
And there's therapeutic values, even without witchcraft and stuff. Light and other stuff has therapeutic value for people, and crystals are key to, all frequencies and stuff. So it's a bit esoteric, but it's a fact.
Well, you can also charge them, and that's what, like in the Wiccan religion, I refer to that because I studied it a long time when I was younger. But you charge your crystal and it holds the energy that you're putting into it as a personal effect. So, you know, I'm sure that these crystals that are under these volcanoes, which is our power spots, because they're pushed up from the energy, and they're forming all these crystals, they're holding this energy, and yeah, when it builds up, it pops. It has to release. It can't hold more than it can hold, you know.
And
Can you
people
see
don't
that screen?
understand
Can you see that
crystals.
screen on?
They can emit light. Crystal under pressure can be a source of, you know, real output of electric energy. Form an orb over the ground and dancing lights like some mountains have.
There you go. This is one of the maps done by iRonFE. A big shout out to Ron for helping in the background. This is data collation of earthquakes. What we've got here is about 5 weeks of data now to show you. I'll let one talk through it, and I'll just let it cycle through them all till she's finished. All yours, One.
Yeah, so what I was saying is, so the blue ones are our shallower ones, and then it goes, you know, yellow, orange, and red as they go deeper, and then purple for the deepest. So I'm thinking that the blues, the more shallow ones, are the signals shooting across the land, you know, in the past. These deeper ones are when it hits a point where it needs to change. So the signals come across, they hit a plate, and they somewhat change the direction to go and signal to the next plate. And it's carrying our sun, like we showed you earlier. It carries the moon, it carries the winds. So each one probably has different functions. You know, some of those are for the sun movement, and some of those are for the moon, but some of those are for the wind, and if that makes sense.
Yeah,
By
it
the way,
makes sense to me.
great.
Various technologies switching on in the workings of our world is what you're seeing there, guys.
Yeah.
You can see the one. You can see the one over Alaska, the busy little fellow. That's the icon in Jim's avatar there, the solar clock, as it was called. You can see now how it's behaving there in the northwest.
Mechanically, to the west is where you're going to have the flyback killer, where the sun gets put in neutral for a split second, and then it gets reset in the east at another, well, gate or deflected to a slightly different spot to do its next cross of the plane, basically, and follow these guiding magnetic forces that are being switched on and off across, you know, like just scanning of a TV screen, the little electron that's going across your screen, the same type of configuration and electronics are involved to manipulate magnetic fields. All of the same basic things have to be here that are in your TV set, the old cathodes or in an oscilloscope. Truly, truly is a flyback system. May be real hard to believe that we have a new sun every day, but that's the truth. The truth is NASA doesn't have an SRO in a Goldilocks zone halfway between here and the sun that can do flipperoonies and cool off its backside because its front side got too hot and spin halfway around and still pick up data. They're filming probably a little hot plate or something with a little candle or a little propane torch to redden a little piece of metal. And they got a camera on that, and that's what they're showing people as the sun. Something stupid. And then you have like a guy, he's doing SROs, the solar observation, and he got $500,000 donated from people, generous people. He has a bus and he's going all over the world to do whatever solar research and connect it to earthquakes. The 90 million mile away sun for his research. He got $500,000 and more from people to get this bus to travel to Arizona, to here, there. You know, there's something already, you know, and that's big in the sense that it's an entire website that years ago I was following. You know, I was checking out this guy, and he still hadn't had the $500,000 bus and all this stuff that he's real happy to have now, I'm sure. But maybe after this comes out, not so happy. But again, he was another one out there, very smooth, very good videos, sounds like great knowledge and information, and it hooks you. But every word of it's babble.
So I don't know. I think NASA got some, once this gets out, and I'll make sure it gets out to, basically the Mormons who are flat earthers now, the alumni for the last couple of years at Brigham Young College. They're flat earthers. Other religious people, other creationists. I'm going to get it out to everyone I can, face to face, pressing palms. And like I say, a lot of people used to laugh at me, and I ran into a half a dozen at least there yesterday or the day before. And I laid it out. And boy, were they, the silence was deafening. But, I didn't tease them or do anything. I left them, I think with that brain paralyzed because, when you see it a little bit laid out and scratched onto a Kleenex or paper, it's so easy to understand. Stuff that we've been told, like the devil's triangle, to see it put out with such beautiful pieces of metal in the ground or just laid out under the ocean to do a job. And the intersection, the piece of metal that joins with it, that triangle shape. And they know about it and they let people die. How can they? Well, hopefully this is why we're all here tonight and trying to get this information out, to shut up some of these like lying beaks and, people who are doing what they're doing and just distracting, and, get a little more, well, hopefully a bunch of the so-called flat earth leaders who should be watching this right now tonight and probably aren't. I mean, well, if they don't, they miss a certain vote because they're just going to have to watch the edited version, not be able to ask questions now live or do whatever. Because this, when you think of it, is an event. This information is very accurate, from the placing of these bars, the earthquake data, to FVP's and analysis of what are called angels. Even if there are two kinds, real angels with wings and these machines, they're both called angels. They're both very powerful, right? According to any stories about them. But these hardware angels are used for so many different things. They're engineering marvels. They when they say bring the mountain to Muhammad, I think that's exactly what they did. They can turn on and raise a mountain in probably 40 days and 40 nights. Anyway, it's a structure, it's a construct, it's not a big bang, we're not floating through an endless universe. Everything is so structured beneath us, it's not a hell. It's like an amazing factory of machine technology and all this stuff, giving us everything, sensing all our needs as far as weather goes. So-called global warming and all these other jokes they're using to tax us so we reduce our carbon footprint and blah, blah, blah. How come all of these people, these globers, are pushing all these lies, putting poisons in our skies, saying that, oh, our spinning ball hurling through the great attractor trillions of miles away, we need to spray stuff to cool it down because, oh boy, it's getting hot. When every control is below our feet to control the air, the rain, the wind, the tides, the Bay of Fundy. When water gets compressed with nowhere to go, it backs up. The one plate that runs north-south in the Atlantic off the eastern seaboard, and the one that traverses it north of Quebec, when they turn on and off, or at least the long one, north-south one, it pushes water back and gives a low tide. When the water comes back, it runs into these barriers both at the right and left, trying to head north. And well, it's like a bathtub or whatever, as water that can't go forward backs up. Some goes forward, but there's a whole, well, at least 50 feet of water that backs up and becomes a 50-foot high tide in the Bay of Fundy. And they say, oh, it's the moon that causes the high tides. I think most of us seeing this can figure out pretty quick, the moon ain't causing no high tides. The moon ain't being stuck in our orbit by no magic gravity. And so neither are the other 8 planets or 9 planets, including Pluto with goofy little Disney doll on it. The whole playing board with these plates exposed. Like I say, one day I am gonna probably, if I finish with the lights, because I want to get a 3,000 watt, marine searchlight that has a beam that can be seen 7.5 miles away, and do a 6-mile experiment, and maybe put like some mylar reflectors from water level up a post to say 50 feet up, and then shine from across the water and see if I can't see the reflection from the water and count, I prove there's, no curve, I only shine on the second sheet. A mylar sheet is like $1 each for a 6x6 reflective surface that you're going to stick to a board. A few dollars, you got a bunch of reflectors miles away from you. You point a light at it, and go up a little cliff wall. I count 5. I put 5. It means no curve. If there was a curve, you'd see reflection from 4 or 3 higher ones. But anyway, I'd like to, and I'm probably gonna, I'm still focused on it. I'm gonna get a
That's
3,000
good.
watt
That's
marine searchlight and go point it at people's freaking butts. 6 miles.
that's good because you'll well, the baller's always using geodetic surveying.
Distorted
And that whole
lenses too.
yeah, with the pseudoscience and the curved horizon. We've talked about this before. So
That's a thing of the past. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Back to the research animation, guys, that's on screen. This is another gem made by iRonFE. It's the sun and moon tracking he's started doing for us. He's connected the sun and moon. As you can see there, he's made a connection between the sun and moon, so we can see what kind of relationships going on with those. Over time, we should be able to plot the
offsets,
the offsets and the true movements of these luminaries around the halos on the grid. That's the plan.
And
that's the long-term plan.
Yeah, know the full moons, the blue moons, the blood moons, the quarter moons, every phase of the moon, and predict eclipses and everything to a T, just like Aztecs, Mayans, or others, because it's the same technology that we're looking at. It's predictable, but it doesn't run on time. It runs on a sequence of events in part, but a synchronization, a certain number of cycles that it must go through, but it's given flexibility in the amount of time it can go through. The Earth doesn't care about time, neither does the Sun. It's an invention. Another thing to distort reality. It's something to give you and then steal back from you. Oh, you're running out of time. Oh, you owe your time. What?
It's perpetual.
It's our time, if there is time. And time moves through us. We don't move through no time. Like I say, I really believe, the biggest legacy any of us have is not whether we have a yacht, a boat, or this or that. It's how we treated ourselves and others. It's never too late. Most of us, like I'm no saint. I've hurt most people that I've ever known. I'll be honest with you. But I've been resistant to lies and stuff, and can't start giving in to liars, cheaters, people stealing from you, other stuff. Lies about where you live and who you are just the same as stealing your wallet or your property. It really amounts to the same thing. Theft is theft. Steal a nickel or $5,000. We want to distort that and say common sense says, a nickel is less. You don't punish it the same way as 5,000. Well, theft is theft. The rest is quantification. I quantify it. See, it doesn't matter if you steal 1 cookie or 6. Still, stealing, right? It's not about how many or how much. People oh, it's okay. It's under $5,000. We call that, and above it's called grand theft. Well, okay. Why are they different? Anyway, there's a lot of things probably going to change. We'll get a lot more common sense, common law justice back maybe, and more level-headed people that are sort of good, caring, whoever. It don't matter. I don't care. But people take good care of themselves, God's home that's been made for us, and each other. All I'd like to see is make a better world for everyone right there.
Yeah, it's a plan.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at.
James.
Hopefully, you know, with this presentation we've done tonight, hopefully people can share it. People can have a bigger picture of what's going on. What we're showing you guys is the bigger picture of how it works. It doesn't need broken down to its macro levels. And, you know, if anyone can help with that, or if it helps your research, fine. Take what you can from it and use it in your research. I'm just going to present this, Jim, the new Mia fakery going on. I'll play this and then I'll let you take over again, mate.
Yeah.
This is to show you how they're faking the Antarctic 24-hour sun. If you keep watching this, I'll let it play through, and you'll see a light source up here on the 12th of December. I'll put it into a night vision mode so you can see it easier. You can see there the light radiating from it at the center of the screen. Now just keep watching and you'll see the real sun going past in the background. Or, well, which I thought we used to think was the real sun, but I pretty much know now what's behind that building is a green screen. It's just a complete stage mock-up. You see why I come to that conclusion at the end of it, because I'm going to compare some things they reused in the scene. But you can see there's a light source. It started on the 12th of December. It's still going now, trying to fake the 24-hour sunlight, I would assume. What we get in the summer in the north, it's not happening in the south. But looking at the grid, it is possible. Perhaps that's why they're making all these CERN units. They're maybe going to reroute the sun south to give it a 24-hour sun in the south. But currently, they're having to do this, it looks like. You see the sun going past there, yet there's still a light source radiating away there. That could be the NASA sun simulator. Whatever it is, it's very bright. And you can see it radiating. You know, I filmed this over the course of not far off a month, and it's never moved. It's in the same place over and over. It could even be projected from that crane on the left, on that platform. That is a green screen behind that building. 100%. You'll see that cloud going past there. You'll see them reusing it again shortly when they do a side-by-side comparison. Reusing the same special effects on 2 different days.
Yeah, I remember going through this before with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then here's the comparison. I think it's 21st and 22nd of December. 2 different days, but you'll see the same cloud reused. It actually jumps back to the 21st on the 22nd if you watch the date carefully. But keep watching and you'll see the same cloud used a second time on a different day. But not only that, I've done a close-up scan left and right of that building and the vehicles in the foreground. It's just like the moon stage set. You know, there's a screen, only with this it's a bit more modern. You've got the green screen background, but you do get the ghosting around the edges of all the foreground objects, and that can only be caused by a green screen being behind them.
That'll be keyed out.
Yeah, it's just bad keying, really. Someone did sack. So yeah, green screen confirmed, really, for me. It's fake. You can see there, yeah, this is the ghosting one. If you look around the edge of the building, you can clearly see the ghosting where it's kind of causing a problem with the screen behind it. It'll pan left and right just to show you. Look around the top of the building, you can see it all like fuzziness around the objects. You always get that, and especially down the edge of the building, you see the straight line down the edge, you can see a ghosting of another edge there, dark shape. That's how you can tell a green screen. It's a bit of a giveaway. Too easy, this. Yeah, same there, look with the vehicles. You can see all the ghosting around them. So the vehicles and the buildings possibly rail or props. But what's behind them is definitely a green screen. You'll see more now as it pans left with this filter on. And you look underneath on the left side of the building, you can see actually the green squares. But yeah, the sun, you know, they're just faking the sun like they faked ISS and everything else. So currently they don't have 24-hour sun looking at this, but I think what they're doing with these CERN units is where the sun, that path that one conscience showed, where the sun was going on the 6th halo out, where you wouldn't see any light from it. I think they're possibly trying to reroute that south, give the south 24-hour sun. So yeah, that's what it really looks like. That's what you're looking at for real there, a green screen and some props and a few vehicles, in my opinion. Back to you, Jim.
Cool. Yeah, James.
I just like to hope and emphasize that everyone who's interested, download and save a copy and, start rattling some cages. I'm sending, a link to the Planetary Society. Well, that's run in part by Bill Nye, the science guy. So, this, it's accurate. And, it's got to be shoved under noses. Like, I don't have Eddie Bravo's email or nothing, but it would be well if he saw it. If everyone would possibly know, that is a flag you get slapped at, well, why not? They should see this. Like I say, I hope there's a bunch of people from the quote community. We try to inform everyone we could that, runs, hangouts, etc. I hope they're here and taking something away from this, and it can start a different flat earth water cooler, as of kind of like even now or tomorrow when it starts to sink in. But this is accurate and it's flat, there's no question. All these things are not, like the comparison of a hurricane flying over a junkyard and a 747 being left when the hurricane's over. The Big Bang theory, these plates could not exist or have formed themselves in this configuration with the magnetic forces fluxing every day to move the sun and do all this stuff out of the Big Bang. This was created. That's the end of that story. The sun is renewed every day. Really, really, the flyback system and the way the electronics work for this, it's a flyback oscillator system, and it sweeps. There's a sweep trigger to the east and a flyback killer to the west. And, these switches, we hear them and feel them as regular earthquakes and different, sometimes quakes, because the detector senses something. It says, well, we got to turn on this, which might not normally be turned on. But in any case, it's not a regular pattern 100%, but certainly almost every day of the year, a pattern of earthquakes will happen to move the sun around. And different seasons of different, extra one here or there will engage for this or that. And it's all programmed. It's really a fine-tuned circuit and an amazing, what a scale type of, creation that was made for really one reason. Have all of us here to enjoy, share. And the rest is just screaming greedy people twisted and down that road of, carnal sin and all that nonsense. And that's their demons and stuff they have to work out and work with. But, it's like now this was supposed to be for everyone to know. And, if you've done bad things like me, I am no saint. I mean, don't worry, don't judge yourself. I mean, there's a reason he's left us all here to make it this far and farther. Because, I mean, if we really had a creator that could just have a fit and destroy his own creation all the time, anytime, we have free will. It can go kind of bizarre sometimes, but we've been misled. And, I mean, this is sort of like a second chance. A little bit of truth out there. Well, that can go a long way now. And it's our responsibility to try to, at least be good to each other and to ourselves. And that's your best legacy that you can leave here. Respect, the creator's work. I don't know. Not in a preachy way, but at least we know it's flat now, even if you don't want to believe in a creator. The layout's there. You can calculate, you can watch these beautiful crepuscular rays and know that they're magnetic rays emanating from the ground in a beautiful cone shape that the sun is floating upon. We're not spinning at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, that the Earth is not a spinning ball, that the sun is not 93 million miles away. So now all of these people have been lying to us, Lucy, you've got some splaining to do. And like I say, we've all suffered. They take our money, they, lie to us. And the fact is, even if these are, quote, private corporations, NASA's government, our Canadian Space Agency, stealing our money to do the same crap, they owe us that money back. So, I mean, my government was suing me and just checking 10 years back on my taxes. Normally they only do 7 years on people, but that's beside the point. And now I didn't even read it. I got another letter from the tax department, but the fact is, I don't owe them. They owe me. They owe me a lot. They owe you a lot. They owe everyone a lot.
Jumping back to the magnetic data there, JImbo, there you go, look, there's your crepular ray shapes appearing in magnetic form.
When I watch them, I'm here in Ottawa. I don't know if you can tell east of Bay James and stuff, but I see it, well, maybe now in this time of year, exactly over those plates heading towards Easter Island, where main switching and other stuff goes on, main hub. By the way, the spider in the Nazca Lines may very well, when it's well fitted, fit right over Bermuda. A spider is a black widow. It makes victims, and that's a dangerous spot for boats at certain times of the year, and planes apparently. And that symbol probably is a warning. As opposed, it's also communications. It's relative to what's, where on Earth, but it's also one of the more dangerous places that you can travel at the wrong times, and because of exactly all that power and magnetic stuff and frequencies we don't even know emanating at that junction.
Just like the northern portals that he was talking about.
Yeah, we have no clue yet. A lot of what's going on with all this stuff. Barely scratched the ice in any of these three fields. The Nasca, the earthquakes, or the plates. It's just the tip of the iceberg. But it goes a long way to, and it's a hard concept to accept that, hey, our Earth is flat, the sun is close, and it's controlled by a big pinball machine mechanism buried deep beneath our feet. Some of it not even buried beneath our feet. That plate that stretches across Iceland, 1,500 miles long, 250 miles wide, and at least 40, 50, maybe 60 feet thick, one piece. And you can touch it. They will never be able to hide that now. They will never be able to say, oh, that really doesn't line up, that one beam over a connector plate over Alaska. It does. The one in the Atlantic, it's there. So Google masks it, so the government and all these liars are, cheating. They couldn't hide it forever. This is God's design, and it's out. There's no more hiding it, If I get my Google Earth going, and let me try to share my Google Earth for 1 minute. Is it really there? Why can't I see Google Earth? It's there. Okay, let me make sure I don't give nothing away. That's more Google Earthy. We'll make sure. Should be good in a second. Just going to get the URL out of the way. Okay, let me just share. There we go. So that should put Google Earth up for me. There, my Google Earth. Put that out of the way. That out of the way. So I'm on Google Earth alone now. You're seeing Google Earth?
Yeah, all good, Jim.
Okay. Now, like I say, these two plates, this is the plate that runs, well, north-south in its true line, straight line over Alaska. And this is the one over Greenland. But if you notice here, like the hands on a clock, it's at like 10:30. The fact is these two plates are running parallel in reality. So look at what's been clipped from between Greenland and Alaska, between those two plates, and what they present to us as, oh, we're fighting over borders and a little bit of land up here. They've taken a perfect square, and it's like they've trimmed it over a ball, and at the top and bottom, this is how badly skewed it is. These two plates run parallel in reality. Here on Google Earth, not quite. But again, so we get a better look. Again, I'm glad I got Google Earth now. Again, here's the plate that runs off the Atlantic seaboard, okay, from the northern edge of Quebec and border of Quebec, all the way down to almost across from Florida. Now here, is Bermuda. And this isn't a perfect layout. I can't say it's exactly lined up where it should be, but you know, as a generality for what it is with the Inca lines and stuff, and it is what it is, it's generally well placed. So here we have this place where all this electricity, magnetism, everything meet certain time of the year, you know, and it pushes, it has an effect on the water. Now the tides, like I say, the Bay of Fundy is located right around here in Moncton, New Brunswick, probably right here. If I zoom in, you'll see Moncton probably right here, Bay of Fundy. Halifax, okay, Bay of Fundy's stuck right here. I think that would be the Bay of Fundy. And going up to Moncton, there's a tidal bore. Now, again, what happens here at the plate, when it charges up to do the tide cycle, okay, along this area, okay, this plate backs up the water, empties the Bay of Fundy. When it's released, it comes back. When the water accumulates and starts to hit this intersection of the plates, which are raised above the sea floor, and you know, force the water to back up, that backed up water, because it can't get over straight without resistance, right or left, straight ahead or to the side, it gets compressed, backs up, and gives that incredible filling to the Bay of Fundy. It goes from no water in the bay to 50 feet. And it's because of the compression here. So these plates, for anyone who's ever heard of the, you know, Bay of Fundy and visited it, this plate, this physical manifestation, this iron that's, I don't know, 50 feet or more thick and 1,500 miles long and 200 some miles wide, is there creating the tides that are doing the Bay of Fundy. They're also creating bad situations for boats. Like I say, can you imagine being in a metal boat over the world's biggest magnet when it's getting fully charged over water that has diamagnetic properties to begin with? It means water is affected by magnetism and static. It's moved by it, it's pushed by it. It's a force that acts upon water, bodies, masses of water. So now we've got a little bit of a, you know, if this is true, we'll have trolls, we'll say, oh, it's all bullshit. But if this is true, that explains the tides at the Bay of Fundy and some of the, you know, weird things reported at this intersection around the Bermuda Triangle area, which, you know, you could mark off. If this was straight and flat, it'd be a true triangle. But again, this plate runs underneath, well, North Carolina. It's not accurate right now. I mean, we can't go for perfection. We're just, you know, trying to hit a ballpark here now. But there's a phenomena that runs from basically the Chesapeake Bay all the way down to North Florida and Florida, called, you know, the Carolina Bays. It's these swirls, these elliptical depressions, and there are millions of them in the sand in these, you know, what they call ancient seabeds. Well, no one knew what caused them, but basically it's, you know, whirlwinds from these electromagnetics that are coming from beneath them when they're on and stuff during a certain time of formation. There's some that probably don't start up no more here. They're maybe not used. Don't matter. They form those bays in all likelihood. But again, the sun, it'll follow these plates straight across the USA. These plates, look, here's the big cauldron at Yellowstone. Look how close it is to this plate. So this gets hot. These plates, they heat up. If we look at the plates that are under the front of South America here, got volcanoes and all kinds of activity in this along these plates and edges. Look how straight that corner is in this mountain notch, you know. It just shows that what's below is very symmetrical. It's the corner of this plate. Again, there are two plates, and look at the dry, arid areas of South America on the coast, and Chile all the way down hundreds of miles. Those heaters, or, you know, dry out everything, don't allow much foliage at those edges. Often when we see in the news the volcanoes going off, they're going off along right about here is where the cameras and people are photographing the edge. And again, it's skewed, it's on an angle, it's going down under the earth for well over 100 miles. You know, I don't know the angle it's going down. I've never been there to measure it, or the thickness, but it's possible to take the physical dimensions and calculate its weight and its size. It's there like a sore thumb. It's always been there. You know, I saw it first when I was a kid, but you know, never realized what anything is. It's just, but again, yesterday I was watching the weather this far off Greenland here, you know, between Quebec and, or northern Quebec, and was active. There's a lot of weather flow right up here through Greenland, right up this coast. Wind just right between those plates. Nothing over the plates like a doldrum between, but if you got over the plate into that wind, holy frick, you'd move north pretty quick. But anyway, you can watch the weather patterns, and where you see those swirlies sometimes all over the map. They're right at these intersections, down between Africa and stuff. This is the plate that goes under Africa, just roughing it, you know. It's one of the solar control plates, I imagine, for late summer and summer, you know, but for down there. But it's one of the plates that runs to the other side or almost to India. Again, solar control. These plates at Vanuatu, what do you got? A bunch of volcanoes and everything. Different seasons, they're going off, you know. These are the plates that are helping to deflect the sun, including these plates north of Russia. And again, this map is skewed. It's square, it's flat, and they simply, you know, pulled it around the ball and cut out all the excess and did their magic with whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
But all these parts, well, the ones laid out here, are used directly by, well, at least wholly for the sun, but not, I believe, only for the sun. I'm sure they're multi-purpose, and it's configuration beyond my imagination. These are reading our temperatures. They know water curves. They know what's going on. We don't need global warming theories, and we have to do this to not overheat and melt the icebergs. You know, one of the reasons, like it's FPV, you know, it's a logical, you know, two and two together, but I didn't think of it. But here we have this plate, and right now this bottom southeast corner is hot. It's all active. It's red, and it's playing part in the winter cycle of air and air currents and stuff. But when it's full and on, I guess, they get hot. This is in part cooling for this one, but also weather control, tide controls, current, you know, other stuff. So, you know, how it all interplays beyond, you know, and the team of good researchers take a while to, you know, and good maps and mapping, because now it can be mapped properly. I think everyone who can see through this realizes now that the dimensions and continent and mapping and sun's path, all this stuff is going to be, well, for us to resolve, because people we've trusted with, you know, education, truth, and science have amounted to being nothing but liars and profiteers and charlatans. And this is the message that, you know, it's time for them to take their snake oil show out of town. People aren't buying it no more. So this is a chance. Let's hope the snake oil goes away. But yeah,
that's what the Nazca Lines read to me, Jim. The Nazca Lines basically read to me, this is your world, this is how it works, look after it. It's as simple as that.
The plate I'll add right now, but right here from this corner of the plate across here where we have the northern lights. So this retorts back around there, and it's on a little angle on the Nazca Lines. On the Nazca Lines, you have Bay James represented as a swirl with these bars around it, you know. So Bay James is represented just like the whale over in eastern Russia, just like the, you know, spider and the other creatures, parrots and other birds, the hummingbird for Alaska, and they all match up. They all, you know, draw a picture of a basic sweep trigger oscilloscope with a flyback circuit. I've worked with hundreds, thousands of them. I've fixed them for decades. I mean, it's just like second nature to me. It didn't come to me when I was first looking at it, and it really didn't come to me to, like FPV was saying, you have to straighten it out, you have to straighten it out. And I was just going over my head, mental block, and, you know, showing me the stuff, but it, because of the spinny winny hula hoop, you know, sun going round and round, and, you know, it wasn't registering as a technical drawing. But he had one photo of the Aurora Borealis stretched out straight, and the instant I saw that, it became a flatback oscillator circuit with sweep triggers and all the nice, like fixing a pinball machine, or a little more technical than it. But it's still the same. It's just a machine to push around the light from one edge to the other, move it up and down, or, you know, north to south, top to bottom, whatever you want to call it now, incrementally, and actually very precisely in a route that it decides to send it. Sure, sometimes.
I've got that image on screen now, Jim, if you want us to show it.
Yeah, I'm going to take this off. Let me save, I think I made another triangle. So yeah, that's the one for the curtain of light in Canada's north. It's a metal plate, and it's not hideable. Stuff, it's out. Let me shut this and get off your sharing.
Yeah, yeah, very intriguing stuff, James. Thank you. No doubt.
Turn off sharing, we'll say. This, can I turn it off without showing the... Hang on.
You there, Katz?
I have to stop myself sharing, or does...
Yeah, stop yourself. Yeah.
I just don't want to expose the link. I'm not sure if I... Let me get back to that window. Sorry if I'm taking a moment. I always have a problem with this.
Sorry,
I'm want to expose. Hey guys, too many windows. Which one is chat? Hard. Sorry. There's Hangouts, and no, that's not Hangouts.
Anybody else has any more questions?
You're all at 5. That'll end.
Sorry,
There's a lot of information. Go ahead.
Jimbo, if you mute Jimbo, because every time you talk, it's like your screen.
I got to find the chat window again. I'm lost
Just,
behind a bunch of windows. I'm sorry.
Just mute while you find it, mate, and then your window won't keep popping up.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right, there you go, guys. That's the image that did it for Jim. That's the conversion from the globe or a style map to a true flat map. That's the Aurora straightened out. That's what we've been doing, really, straightening out the globe. We did try our work with various AE style maps, and it wasn't working out. So we don't need to look at those again. And we do think the map we're portraying here is the correct one. All the data we're seeing works with it. Nazca line overlays fit with it. And we're progressing nicely with it. You know, real world data's applying to it. Because when you look at real world data, they do use the Mercator map, which I'm pretty sure is derived from this map. It could only have come from this map originally, looking at it. Although they've condensed it a bit and made it a mess. It's,
you know,
and also the flight paths also.
And seeing from basically the southwest corner of Manitoba, you know, for several days in a row, the Northern Lights, and they were in a straight row, and they're like curtains of light, and they were being pulled down towards Lake Winnipeg. Now, you know, back then, there's no way I could understand why, you know, but I know what I see, and I, you know, registered long term. But those were pulling down because of the bar that's on the west side of the Hudson's Bay. It's right there. I saw that phenomena. Anyone there will see it, and now they'll know. Being pulled down from north to south at that corner from a bar that runs on this side of Hudson's Bay. Pretty wild, eh? Or the west side of Hudson's Bay.
Well, yeah, You also noticed the tides there. You can see now what's causing the tides. Lots of answers are coming now. You've got this information, aren't they?
Yeah, the Devil's Triangle has kind of a, if this is accurate, and I really think it is, because those plates cannot be hidden. Their effects are seen with the arid zones, like in South America, with, you know, the volcanic activity on the exposed plate. And none of this was meant to be hid from any of us. It was scratched in the sand, beautiful blueprints of how the sun works. And it was just hidden from us from, like I say, really a bunch of really selfish people. People want to use terms evil and all that. These are just greedy people who, you know, got the upper hand and used it. You know, at least there's a chance now. It has to be sort of, you know, democratically done. But like I say, the Planetary Society, let them ignore this. Bill Nye and these liars, those are people that really, if you want to really start kicking butt in a friendly way, those are the ones to go after. When those guys are shut down, it really goes a long way down the line. Or they're knocked out of the ballpark. This is public now. They're, you know, Freemason, Illuminati, clown magic, heroes and ghosts that they attribute a fake science to, you know, mask all this. It's over. All of their fake science is out the window. And there's no turning back from this. You know, I'm going to make a copy and do what I do with it.
You can look at the world now with new eyes. You really can. This is the geoglyphs overlaid there. What JImbo was showing you on Google Earth. This is just some of them. You can see the Greenland plate there. Special moment in your heart there for you, Jimmy. That Greenland plate.
Oh. Well, even when I was a kid, I saw it. I knew that part of the wall, that angled thing, didn't look natural. In nature, you don't have straight lines, 90-degree, you know, corners. And, you know, several years that plate was active when I was growing up, and they had the cameras there, and it was on the news, and millions have seen that. Millions know about that, well, that lava at that edge of the plate, and there are people that live there, you know. Who else should get to see this video? How about people that live right next to the plate? They can get some, you know, cameras up there and new beautiful drones with high def, and this is a dimensional plate, you know. It can't be hidden no more. You know, they controlled so much and had people so bewildered that, you know, here, look at the lava, and they hide the elephant, you know, in front of it. That steel plate was the elephant, and the lava was the beautiful distraction. You can see where a plate going down the earth that big, being whatever magnetized or changed, heated, or doing what it's doing, it'll generate some heat in the areas that are being, you know, used. And that heat, well, follows the path of, you know, underneath that plate to the surface, and it's so hot that it makes lava. Well, here's the news. Evaporation causes cooling. It's very possible that lava is just, you know, part of what's included in the cooling mechanism. As it takes away the heat, the plate cools off. That's how it works. Same way you cool anything, you pour water on stuff to cool it off. Rock takes away heat, melts, rises to the surface like any other fluid. You know, with that much heat, water's no good. Think of it. Make a, you know, a solid, you know, contact with rock and mineral and let it melt it and just remelt it. And just doesn't volatilize and explodes like water would, you know. When there are, it's probably because when it was off, some water got in and then it was turned on back, you know. It had to go somewhere with the heating, and eventually gets out to the surface and spits and spoils and eruption or two. It's just that plate blows around the edge. It's because its pressure was building up and resisted getting out for a while, and you know, had a big blowout of the ash or something. You know, some things don't burn as well as other, or melt and, you know, relieve heat, you know. Ash is not very good for heat release. Anyway, it's all there. it's a piece of metal that comes from a bigger piece of metal, that it was cut from a bigger piece of metal. Maybe, you know, maybe it was a square 1,400 by 1,400 miles wide by I don't know how long, but it was bigger than one piece. Probably, you know, a square of it was cut to make at least a few of the main bars, and another piece was cut to make some of the smaller wedges and stuff. But, you know, no one on Earth could even conceive how to raise a sheet of metal one piece like that, you know, 60 feet thick, 1,450 miles long, and 250 miles into the dirt. I can't pull it out. It was placed there. It was engineered and added as part of circuitry and hardware to magnetize the movement of a sun over a plane. A light over a plane. It's a hardware sun that we have. It's created by machines for us, for everyone. And the truth about it, like I say, God, well, the Creator made sure it was scratched in the sand in a place where it would last virtually forever. It's over one of the plates. It's going to stay dry. You're going to, you know how much wind is going to be there. Virtually none. It's just, it has lasted virtually forever. So, you know, again, little group of sickos trying to take over. But again, like I say, people can think they can take over the world, and no one can take over anything. Not even 1,000 people can take over the world. Not even the giants could take over the world. It's, you know, because history, you know, may have been verbatim true. No, not 1 or 1,000 men really take over and rule this world in their minds, in the minds of some of their victims, you know, but not many that do. Is temporary, whatever their beliefs are. They're only beliefs. There is really only, you know, one true director of operations, and it ain't any of us. We can only be equal.
If anybody has any other questions or anything else to add to tonight's discussion and presentations?
I don't at all.
Any questions from you guys in chat?
You guys want to carry
Hello,
on
everyone, by the way.
Oh yeah, there was a question. Hold on, let me see it. Let me see if I can find it. Oh no, maybe it's something else. Yeah, it was for someone else. Okay, never mind.
Well, we got one mind blown, me red path, you know. Any others were sort of kind of like, you know, going a bit numb like all of us went?
Yeah, I
It'll
mean,
pass.
if you guys are done presenting all the information you have right now that you can share, then if you guys want to wrap this up, we can shut it
Yeah,
down.
I could use a break because it's about 3 hours now too, and I think we all covered, you know, everything that we could with getting into rants and raving like I usually do and stuff.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, sounds good to me.
we got to shut it down.
Yeah, I didn't rant all night. It was great. I hope it gets
fantastic night. Yeah, fantastic night, guys. Well done, everyone.
And
Fantastic
we
presentation.
promise to keep working, and you know what we find out, post to you and keep you updated. Again,
yeah, what we see, anything we see, you'll get to see. Don't worry.
Good job.
No. Thank you, Cat's Eyes, so much for this.
Yeah, thank you, Cats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kat.
thanks, Kat.
Yeah.
And you,
For
Great.
being on our
Trotter, for
panel.
hosting.
Yeah.
And Trotter. Great questions always.
Yeah, good
Thank you, Trotter.
hosting, guys. Fantastic.
And Chatters for joining.
Lovely evening.
All right, you guys. Kat, so
Thanks everybody from coming out and joining us this lovely night or evening or day. Thanks for coming, guys, like always.
I hope we measured your expectations, because I said it was the real deal, and I truly believe, you know, as real as those plates are, my understanding of it, and you know, everything that went on with the information we shared, it's accurate. We're, you know, we're in the ballpark. We have a new sun every day. We're on a creation, so that's what I take home from tonight. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, me too. Good to see all the presentations together like that coming into one video. Hope you can make a lot of sense of it, guys. If you don't follow this map, that's fine by us. Try our work on your map, see how it goes, or overlay your work on our map. That's how we progress. You know, so if something's not right, we either fix it or remove it. As simple as that. And so far, so good. It's progressing nicely. But yeah, thanks once again, guys, and especially you guys in chat. You know, we'd be wasting our time if you guys weren't watching. Thanks, everyone.
Exactly. All right, you guys. Yeah, everyone. Peace out. Much love. Talk to you soon.
All right. Good night.